Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this cute little bottle bag. So for this bottle bag I'm going to use a 4.5 crochet hook. So that works quite well with the sizes, this number of stitches I'm going to use for today. Hope you like my nails, it's Valentine's today, just so happens. And we're going to start with the bottom of the bottle, so we start at the base and work up. So we're starting with a magic ring, and I'm going to do 8 half trebles into the first row, the magic circle, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 rows. So those rows will all be increases, and they're all going to increase by the number of our first row round, which is 8. So I'll do 8 into the first round, and then we'll increase by 8, so that'll become 16. We'll add another 8 for the next row and the final row, and then we'll start going up the sides of the bottle for the bottle, and you won't do any increases for those. So for a change with the magic circle sometimes being a little bit difficult for people, I'm going to do the alternative method, which is just to chain 4 and then work into the middle of that chain. So to make our chain, I'm just going to put my yarn around my finger. So I've got a little loop, insert the hook and pull up the yarn in the middle of that loop and create my slip stitch. And then I'm going to just chain 4, yarn over, then grab the knot at the bottom of your first slip stitch and pull through. Just grabbing the knot helps to keep that tight so you can pull your yarn through. So that's my first chain, yarn over, I'm going to grab the base again, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. So that's my 4 chains. So without counting the chain on the hook, you've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we need to join them by inserting the hook into the 4th one, yarn over and create a slip stitch by pulling the yarn through both loops on the hook. And then you've got a little hole in the middle, and that's the area we're going to work into. We're going to work in half trebles. So for a half treble we want to chain 1 and then take your yarn over the hook, insert your hook into the center of that chain of 4, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So we're going to do that again, yarn over, insert into the center of that chain of 4, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 on your hook. We want to do 8 of those. So that's number 3, number 4. Oops, I've missed a little bit there. Just take that back. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oops, the daisy, and the last one, number 8. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This little V shape here, that's our first chain, so the chain 1 that we did before we started the half trebles. So ignore that one, it's this one, which is number 8, and we want to slip stitch into number 8 to join the circle. So insert your hook, pull up a loop and pull it all the way through. So the difference when you do a chain for your center circle is you can't pull it tight the way you can with a magic circle. So you've got a little bit of a hole, but really when it's going to sit at the base of the bottle, I don't think it's anything to worry too much about. So that's round 1. So for round 2, we chain 1, and we're going to work into each stitch. We've got 8 stitches, and we need to do 2 half trebles into each stitch. Yarn over. The first one, remember, is the same stitch that we slipped into to join our circle. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So we're going to do 2 into every stitch all the way around. So we'll increase this round from 8 to 16. So I'll let you follow me through this one, or you can just whiz through to the next round. You might notice that we've now got a way of quite easily moving through what are called chapters in YouTube. If you stop the video, you'll find there's a little button just below the video that lets you select the next chapter, which would be, for us in this case, round 3, and it gives you the option to go to any of the chapters in the whole video. Makes it much easier for you to navigate when you're coming back to look at a specific section again and again. You can tell I'm just talking through this while I'll make my way to the end, but it is really useful if I remember to put my chapters in. So that should be my last one. So I always start counting from the one nearest the hook. That's just my preferred method of counting, but you can do it whichever way is best for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The reason I do it backwards, sort of from the hook round, is because once I've found my last one, I can go straight into it, and I can't make a mistake by going into the wrong stitch, because I need to do a slip stitch to join that round. So slip stitch into there, and that's round 2. So I've got the center circle. Round 2 is an increase, which when you start with 8 in your first circle, you double that in your second circle, so it increases to 16. So we're now on to the third round. Now for our third round, we want to increase the number of stitches in our round by the same number that we have in the center. So we need to increase this by 8. And to do that, we're going to chain 1, and in the very first stitch, so in the same one that my chain comes from, I'm going to do 1 half treble in the first stitch, and then in the second one I'm going to do 2 half trebles. So that's called an increase, where we're going to do 2 in the same stitch. So I've got 1 in the first stitch, 2 in the second, and we'll continue in the same format. So it's 1 half treble and then an increase. So we're going to do 2 half trebles in the next, 1 half treble and 2 in the next, and you're going to continue in the same way all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. So now we're going to do row 4, chain 1, and this row is an increase again, but we start off with 1 half treble in the first stitch, 1 half treble in the next stitch, and then we'll do 2 half trebles into the third stitch. That way we will be increasing the round by 8. So it's 1 half treble, 1 half treble, and then an increase, which is 2 half trebles. So I'll do that once more. You've got 1 half treble, 1 half treble, and then an increase, which is 2 half trebles in the same stitch. Continue in the same pattern all the way to the end, and I'll meet you there. So I'm just coming to the last few stitches of round 4. So we've got 1 half treble, 1 half treble, and then an increase, which is 2 half trebles. So we'll do that with you. 1 half treble, 1 half treble, and then 2 half trebles in the same stitch to give us the increase. And then we slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. I think I've gone in the right place there. Make that a bit tidier. There we go. And that's round 4. So you can see how that looks on the base of my bottle. So that's the last row, or round I should say, of increases. From here on in, we're going to start going up the sides of the bottle bag. So we're now going to start round 5. There's no increases in this round. It's a straightforward stitch, half treble all the way around. So I've chained 1 and then yarn over, insert your hook into the very first stitch where your chain 1 is, do your half treble, yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So you continue just doing 1 half treble in every stitch all the way around. And what you're going to do from here on in for the next 4 rounds is exactly the same. 1 half treble in every stitch all the way around. Now I've done 4 rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do more than that, you can do less than that. I did 4 rounds, my preference, just to make the sort of base of my bottle before I started a design, a pattern of some kind. There's lots of different patterns you can do for something like this. This one was just my choice for this example. So I'm going to leave you to continue doing another 4 rounds, no increases. You're just going to go round, this is round 5, you're going to do 5, 6, 7 and 8, and I'll meet you at the end of row 8. So I'm just coming to the end of row 8. So I've got my final 3 stitches here, 3 half trebles, and then I'll slip stitch into the first one to join. And you can see that it's now starting to form the sides of the bottle bag. And if we start in the middle at the bottom, we've got round 1, round 2, round 3 and round 4. And then the sides, we've got another 4 rows, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So it should look like that. At this point, just in case you haven't already, just do your count to make sure that you've got the right number of stitches, as you don't want to start going wrong now. So if I do mine, I'll take that last slip stitch out and we'll just go around this together to make sure that we've got the right number of stitches. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 and 32. So I'll do that slip stitch into my first one again, and you've got 32 stitches all the way around. And now we'll move on to the beginning of the pattern. So the pattern that I've used for the bottle that I've got here is made up of treble crochets. What you'll find is you've got 2 trebles in one space, then you miss a space and you put 2 trebles into the next space, so you end up with a slight V shape all the way around. It's the same thing for every row. The slight difference is after the first row, in the next row you put your 2 trebles in between the 2 of the row before, so they form that little diamond shape. So that's what we're going to do next. So this is row 9. Now because we're doing a treble crochet, we need to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That's to give us the height of a treble crochet stitch. So a treble involves yarn over, and then we're going to go back into the same stitch where that chain started, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now we yarn over and we'll pull through 2 of those chains on the hook, and then yarn over and pull through 2. So we've got what looks like 2 trebles. The chain of 3 has in effect created a treble crochet. So we're going to treat that as our first set of 2 trebles. Then we're going to miss a stitch. We're going to go into the next stitch and do 2 trebles. So yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to do the same thing in the same space. So yarn over, insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So I'll continue on a little bit further for those of you that haven't done the treble yet, just so that you can follow it along. So we'll skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, insert into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, miss a stitch, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over, insert into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So you can see the beginning of that pattern. So I'll stop there and I'll meet you at the other end. So just coming to the end of that round, which was round 9, and I'm going to yarn over, skip a stitch, insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then the second one in the same space, and then we've got 1 space left, and we're going to join to the 3 chains that we created at the beginning. So go into the top of that 3rd chain, sometimes a little bit tight, yarn over, pull through a loop and pull it straight through to create a slip stitch. So you've got your final join. Now for the next round, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and it's a little bit weird, this one, because the next space that we've got is across here, but we actually want to put 2 trebles into this space as well. So what we can do is yarn over and go into that gap, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and you can see that we've actually created the 2 stitches in that gap. So we're going to do the next one, yarn over, and you're going to go into the gap between the next 2 stitches, 2 sets of 2, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and go into the same space again. So you're not going into a stitch, you're just going into the space between them. Do the same again, yarn over and into the space, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Same again. So you're going into the spaces created between each of those trebles, the sort of 2 trebles in one space. Hope that makes sense. And you just continue the same way all the way around. And when you get to the end, you do the same join that we've just done in this case, and you continue in the same way for the full length of your bottle bag. Now, if it's not a wine bottle, if it's a water bottle or something, you can stop at whatever height suits you. You can see from the one that I've done, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 rows. And then right at the very top, I did something slightly different. So I'll take this off and show you what it looks like. So I did the 15 rows, and then at the very top, I reverted back to doing half trebles for the last 4 rows. So if you continue in exactly the same way until you get to the length of the bottle that you want, in my case, as I say, it was 15 rows, you stop at whatever length suits you, and I'll come back and do that last little bit with you later. So for the final part of our bottle bag, you get to the final row of patterns. So that's this row here that I've done, and then I've added 5 rows of half trebles, one of which I've left gaps in the row so that we can weave a tie of some kind through. So I'll have a look at that now. So I'm joining my last row of pattern by going into the 3rd chain that we created at the beginning of that row and doing a slip stitch. Now with a half treble, we need a chain 1 and then yarn over, insert your hook into the same place, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. So that was our joining chain. I've got another space here, another stitch here, which was our first treble of the row before. Yarn over, insert your hook into the top of that treble, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. So we've got 2 half trebles above the 2 trebles from the row before. And then we've got the gap between the next 2 stitches. So in that gap, we're going to go into the top rather than into the gap. We're going to go into the actual stitch itself. So we'll go into the top of the treble and do another half treble, and then the top of the next treble and another half treble. So the gap is actually, it's a bit confusing because there is a bit of a gap there, but there's the top of the treble as well. So we're going to go into the treble and do a half treble, and we'll continue that all the way around. And I'll meet you at the other end. So I'm at the end of that row, and I'm going to finish that with a half treble, and then we join with a slip stitch to the top of our first stitch. Now, the way I've worked this pattern out to give us spaces for our tie for the bag, if we've got 32 stitches in total in the round, every fourth stitch I've left a gap. So I've got an even number of gaps all the way around. So we're going to start with a chain 1 as usual and go into the same space with a half treble. I'm going to do 3 of those. So 1, 2 and 3. And then I'm going to chain 1 and that will be our space. And then I've got dog hairs all over. Miss a stitch, go into the next stitch and do 3 half trebles. So 1, 2, oops, daisy, and 3. Chain 1, miss a stitch, and then another 3 half trebles. Continue all the way around and I'll meet you at the other end. So I'm just coming to the end of that round, so I'm going to call this our second round of the top border of the bottle. So I've got 1 chain and then miss a stitch and start the first of 3 half trebles. So I've got 1, 2 and 3, and then we final 1 chain before we join to the first treble of the row. So insert your hook and pull through for a slip stitch. Now I know it will look a little bit odd because it almost looks as if we've got 4 half trebles there, but remember this first one is just our chain. Some patterns you'll find they do class that as a stitch, but normally when you do a half treble you just count that as a chain. So there's our 3 actual trebles and I've slip stitched into the top of the first one. So this is round 3 of our final border. Chain 1 and we're going to do a half treble in the same space and then another half treble into the top of the next treble, half treble, and then a third one. So that's just copying what we've got in the row below. Now we've got our chain space and we're going to do a treble into that space. So yarn over, insert your hook into the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. So we've got about 3 trebles. So we're going to go into the top of each of the trebles, half trebles. I will keep calling them trebles, won't I? So that's 1, 2 and 3. And then we're going to do a half treble into that chain space. Continue all the way around and I'll meet you at the other end. So I'm just coming to the end of row 3. So I've got a chain space here. I'm going to do a half treble into that chain space. Then I've got my final half trebles from the row below. I'm going to half treble into the top of each of those. 1, 2 and 3. And then we've got 1 more chain space, so we'll do a half treble into that chain space. And then you've got your chain 1 from the previous row, then you've got the top of your half treble, sorry, from the same row. We've got the half treble at the beginning of our row. That's where we want to go and slip stitch to join. And then we're ready to chain 1, and we're just going to do half trebles all the way around. Now you can do this for as many rows as you like for your final border. My original one, as you can see here, I've got my first row of half trebles after the pattern, my second row where I've put the chain 1 spaces, for the tie, and then I did another 3 rows. You only need to do 1 row, 2 or 3, whatever suits you. Once you've done that, there's different things you could use as your tie. You could just use a piece of ribbon. What I actually did for this was I took through 3 strands of my yarn and I just did a plait. So that was quite straightforward. Or another option would be to just make a chain. Wrap the yarn around, pull up a loop, pull it to make a chain, a slip stitch, and then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and you could just make a chain for whatever length that works for you.